Soulection.
And here we are. My name is Joe K. This is Soulection Radio coming to you live from Beats One, New York. It was 2013, South by Southwest. 150 people in the room. And the first time I ever seen GoldLink perform. Something about the energy from that time I just knew was going to be a progression. I knew it was a moment. And I knew that we were going to work. There's been specific moments throughout your career that I've been able to watch. I know the Andre 3000 moment in London, him coming out to your show.
Yeah.
That was a statement in itself.
Yes.
God Complex. We're talking about you being and working with Rick Rubin, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the Oakland show. We're talking about DC. We're talking about the Soulection 4-year anniversary. These are all been key moments. Did you ever think that we would be at this moment right here where you have the new album coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. This is I fantasized about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes sense. What Soulection stands for, what I stand for. I knew this would make sense, and it's just crazy that it's happening.
And after that, we didn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it.
And after that, we didn't talk is a conceptual album about a heartbreak that I experienced when I was a teenager.
Uh-huh.
And that heartbreak experience led to other things in my life, whether it's illegal things or life lessons or deaths or certain things that I had to go through. And it all really stemmed from a relationship that I handled the wrong way. I want to say both of us handled it the wrong way because we just didn't have the proper guidance in order to fix the things that we easily could have fixed. And then that's pretty much like my moment of clarity. So it's pretty much like everybody has moment of clarities.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it's a rape, maybe it's a killing, maybe it's the death of a family member. Maybe it's something that happened to you. Maybe it's a sickness or a lupus or something of that nature. But everybody has a moment of clarity that brought them to the state of where they are at this second, whether it makes them or breaks them. So that's what the concept's about.
Is this more of an album or a mixtape to you?
Album.
An album?
Mm-hmm.
The direction now, since God Complex, now
Mm-hmm.
you've toured off of one project. We're talking about doing laps around the world till this very day.
Yeah.
What's like the progression? What's the direction right now with this album?
This album is more vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
It's more musical. It's more hands-on. It's more intimate than the God Complex. I want to say the God Complex is more like an art piece. It was like a showcase of what I can do. I was angry. I was 21. I was black. I was in America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't go nowhere. I was stuck in DC,
Yeah.
DMV. And then being able to travel and shaking people's hands, having conversations with people and seeing how you affect people and how you affect culture does something to you.
Yeah.
And it makes you, it forces you to grow up.
Yeah.
So it's more like a grown piece of art for me.
And I could validate that. Earlier today, we were in the room with the crew and we're just all vibing. We had a session with the album, and I could honestly say that the sound direction, one thing I've always loved about you is that your ear has always been advanced, and you're taking this sound and you're bringing it, and it's there's not too many vocalists in general who could take that and have the confidence and beast mode these type of tracks. But what I love about it is the consistency.
Right.
And there's a few tracks on there that are stands out, but there's not many features, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. Who are some of the producers on this album?
We have Galimatias.
Uh-huh.
We have Louis Elastic, obviously. Demo Taped. Medicine. Just to name a few.
Braden Bailey.
I love that man.
Tom Misch. Cannot forget that. So earlier we mentioned Rick Rubin. I'm curious, what do you think about the album? How was it going in Bob Dylan's tour bus and playing it for him, knowing that Yeezus and all these legendary like projects were in front of him?
It felt normal. I don't really think about any of those. You know, that's the thing. I don't think about any of that when I'm there.
Of course.
I only think about what I'm there for. He loved the album. He thought it was phenomenal. From the first time I played him, he was like, and now he's like, you got one.
It makes sense.
So that feels good.
The XXL freshman, right?
Yeah.
You're part of this year's class. how was it working with those group of guys and just like is that some of those guys your crew?
Yeah, I like Mako. I like Rory. I love Shy. I love Vince.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't really talked to the rest of them, but everybody's really talented and everybody's really cool. Everybody got along. But yeah, like out of those four, we're real cool.
Have things changed for you like since then? And earlier we were even discussing how when we had that show at at DC at 930 Club,
Yeah,
what was it, about 1,500 plus people?
yeah,
And for DC, that's a great capacity right there. It's a statement to be able to sell that out. You were saying how sometimes you can't even go back home, or for that week after that, you know, you couldn't walk on the street because people were coming up to you. How has the transition been for you? You know, since GoldLink from South by Southwest 2013, 150 people in the room, to London, about 1,800 people, to back home. You know what I mean? How does
Yeah.
that feel, man?
It's so weird. It's weird because, especially for DC, it's like I grew up there. Like that's all I know. So for your environment to feel like how it feels when I do go to London or when I do go to Washington, when I do go to Australia, is weird. It's like the dynamic change, but it's different because in your city, everybody looks up to you because you're the hope. Because you got to think that like we don't have history in hip hop per se. We have like a strong go background. We have a strong punk rock scene, but we haven't had a real strong hip hop artist since Wale. We have Wale, we have Logic, we have Shy, and then like there's me, there's Chaz, but that's about it. You got to think about the wealth of what New York has, or the wealth of what the South has, what like the wealth of what LA has. We don't have that, so people look to us as hope, and that's weird.
So knowing that, you know, what's keeping you grounded right now, and just knowing that you're on this plateau,
Mhm.
knowing that you got this attention, this success, what's a good way for someone in your position to stay, you know, humble?
Stay where you're from. I stay home. I live in DC, like in that area.
You tried LA as well.
And
You
I
weren't
ain't like
feeling
it because
yeah.
I love home. I'm
Mhm.
so different from them. You know, you know.
It is what it is. Yeah.
And that's what keeps me grounded, knowing that even though everything changed for me, shit is still the same.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So like when I go to the studio, it's like 15, 20 niggas in the studio just because, and they just go to watch me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm their hope. That keeps you grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like when you waking up every day in my hometown keeps me grounded.
Yeah. What's
Mhm.
great about you, and I think what's important behind any successful artist, is their team. You have an
Right.
amazing team, and I think that's why we're able to work. I'm really excited for this album to come out through Soulection for many reasons. Again, your team is just very compatible, and they get it, you
Mhm.
know, and they've been a strong push towards what you do. I really enjoy working with your team just because your manager, your DJ, shout out to Marvel. They get it. They're very supportive of the Soulection sound, and they
Yeah.
allow us and you to be who we are.
Right.
For the longest, I know you were against, you know, you having a Instagram, and you kind of blacked out on social media.
Right.
If people listen to the last session that we had months back on Soulection Radio, you know, you kind of went off and explained why,
Right.
you know, social media isn't a big thing. But for this album and just from here on forward, why'd you decide to all of a sudden get back on the socials and push?
Because it's like you said, it's because of my team. It's a collaborative effort, and it's more about reaching people. And the team stressed that to me. Like, yes, I understand your beliefs. Yes, I understand what you're doing, and that's fine. Stick to what you believe, but don't cut off your opportunities and your avenues just because you're so one track minded. Just think outside of the box, and I listen.
Are there ever moments when you're in the studio and you feel there's a record that you really love, right? And the rest of the crew is like, it's okay. Are there those moments?
Yeah, all the time.
And you as an artist, being that you are the one, the creative, you are the visionary, you are the reason why they're primarily in the room.
Right.
Do you listen to them?
I do
Okay,
because I trust them, and that's what a team is,
that's real.
and that's something I learned through time.
Okay.
hmm
If there was one word to describe GoldLink, what would be that word, or just what's the meaning?
Sexy,
The sexy?
sexy.
Yeah.
Just a sexy young black man. Just a chocolate bar.
Yeah. After this project, what do you have next? Is there a solo tour? Is there anything?
You tell me, Joe.
Well, I think well, okay. So as you know, we've been plotting.
Mm.
Sango, you and I, we've been talking about it,
Mm.
Esther, but we've been talking about a full out selection festival
Mm.
in main markets. For the listener out there, you have to attend one of these. But it's gonna be one of those moments, right?
Yeah.
And I guess is that what's next for us?
That, yes. And
And then and that the album, the official project, because this is a progression from the God Complex.
Yeah.
But how long did it take you to record this?
honestly, I want to say I hit like a crazy streak last month.
Oh, so it was all in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow. What
Yes.
and what was it? What was that moment that fused this to be done? You just wake up one day and was it an experience? You had to kind of go back in time. So what
Yeah.
was that moment that like sparked it?
It was I really tried. So the thing about it is like I had to place myself
Mhm.
back in that time. I got a Facebook. I hit up old classmates. I grew my hair out. Like I soul searched and
Wow.
I gathered as much information as I possibly could, and I put myself back in that emotional state, and then it kind of fell out of me. Like especially after you sent everything that you sent, I picked and I picked and I picked and I searched and I searched, and that's how a lot of the records came apart.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's amazing to know. Uh, Zane Lowe just premiered the world record,
Mhm.
Spectrum, which is a single that's out right now. It's available. The title is Spectrum. What does this song represent?
Um, honestly, it represents a time spectrum
Mm-hmm.
from when I first laid eyes on this girl into not speaking to this woman, and that's what it's about.
You pissed, don't trip. I'ma have to bust you on your lips.